You finally finished that model you've been working on and you're ready to show it to the world. You create your render and it looks like this. In less than 10 minutes, I'll show you how to make a clean, professional looking render for your portfolio. I'll be using Blender 4.0 and cycles, but these workflows can be applied to any 3.x version as well as any 3D software. Part 1. Camera and composition. What is the goal here? To showcase your 3D model, form, edge flow, and topology. In terms of lighting and composition, we have some room for creativity, but at the end of the day, we want to showcase our 3D modeling skills with our latest hero asset. So let's start building a clean backdrop. Shift A to create a plane, scale it up, select the edges, E for extrude. Select the vertical edges, Ctrl B for bevel, middle mouse button scroll to at least 16 segments. Select the horizontal edges, Ctrl B for bevel, middle mouse button scroll to at least 16 segments. Then make sure to shade smooth. Now we have a nice backdrop for our prop. With our backdrop in place, we need to set up our camera. This will dictate our lighting. Setting up your camera should always be one of the first things that you do. Press Shift A to create your camera, then press 0 on the numpad to jump to camera view. Open the left panel with N, and select camera to view to place your camera. Avoid using a short lens. Short and shallow lens lead to more distortion and is used for more wide shots like environments. So knowing that, we want our focal length to be a minimum of 50mm, but I recommend 70 to 120. Make sure to spend time on positioning your camera. I see this part of the process rushed by newer artists, which is a shame because poor composition will downgrade your model. Avoid raising your camera above your model. Either lower or eye level will lead to more impressive looking models, despite the scale and size of your model. Raising the camera above your model makes it look small and toy-like, so at least having it eye level of a person viewing it will give it a good sense of scale. This works well for characters, props, vehicles, hero assets, and more. Part 2. Lighting and materials. With our camera set up, we can now light our model, so if you haven't already, switch the cycles in the render properties. Enable denoise under viewport and increase the noise threshold to 0.2. This will help speed up iterative render times, and you can also switch to GPU rendering if you have a suitable card. We'll be using a standard 3-point lighting setup, primarily using area lights. Lighting 101. Small, very intense lights lead to hard shadows, while large, less intense lights lead to softer lights and shadows. We will be lighting our models with soft lighting, but you can experiment with either method. To begin setting up our lights, create a second window panel by hovering over the corner of the 3D viewport until you get a crosshair. Then drag out to the left. The left window will be our working viewport and the right will be for rendering. Now create a key light to the left or right of your camera, never behind your camera. Lights behind your camera will lead to flat lighting, which is boring and unflattering. With our key light created, create 3 spheres: chrome, mid-gray, and black clear coat. This will be used for our look dev and simple color grading for exposure and balance. This will give you a good scale of reference as you light your model, making sure that we're not under or overexposed. Once you have your key light set up, add in a fill light and a rim light to balance your render. The fill light is going to help bring up some of the darker areas, while the rim light will help separate your model from the background. Sometimes I'll use a large top-down light to bring out some details, especially when rendering cars. As we're lighting, we want to maintain contrast in our render. Keep the light and dark areas for a more interesting render. Having contrast does a great job showing the form of the 3D model. Remember, the goal here is to showcase art models as portfolio pieces, so don't go too crazy with dramatic lighting. To add contrast, you can play with the color of your background and foreground objects. Adding a subtle tint goes a long way. You can also explore the temperature of your lights, combining warm and cool temperatures to create more appealing renders. Now remember, don't go too crazy with color and temperature here. Subtlety is key. Something to keep in mind if you're rendering fully textured objects or metallic objects, having an HDR can be helpful and improve your lighting. The reason why is because metallic objects get their look from reflection, so if there's nothing to reflect except a few spotlights, then your metallic objects will look a little bit flat. So adding an HDR can help improve that. You can also tell Blender to have the HDR only contribute to the reflections and not the diffuse by enabling and disabling the respective ray visibility settings. This is nice when you only want to add reflections without contributing more light from the HDR. So you can head to Polyhaven and find an HDR that suits your need. Bring it into Blender by going to the shader editor, then switch shader type from object to world. Create an environment texture, not image texture. If you use image texture, it'll show up incorrectly or not at all. Press open and find the HDR we just downloaded, connect the environment texture to the background color, then add a texture coordinate and mapping node. If you have Node Wrangler enabled, select the environment texture and press Ctrl T. If you don't have it enabled, do it right now because it's an incredibly helpful add-on that comes default with Blender. By the way, if you'd like access to all the source files from this tutorial, be sure to check out my Patreon where you get access to nearly all my files. It's a great way to support my channel, plus you get a ton of other perks for just a few bucks. Now, let's get back to it. Part 3, Ambient Occlusion in Wireframe. With our renders set up, we can make them pop even more by adding ambient occlusion and wireframes. Now, I do this a little bit differently because we will be creating the ambient occlusion and wireframe as separate passes. This gives you more control when we composite our final renders, so make sure to stick around and see how I do this. As we're testing our AO and wireframe materials, you can make sure to go to the render settings and assign it as an override material. To create our ambient occlusion, create a new material and assign it to the secondary slots of one of our objects. Create an ambient occlusion node, connect it to the factorial of the color ramp node, and since we only want the ambient occlusion and no lighting, connect the color ramp to an emission node and plug that into the material color output. The emission node will give us unlit and shadeless materials, where the lightest areas, least affected by occlusion, will be near white, and the darkest areas, most affected by occlusion, will be near black. Setting the occlusion intensity from 12 to 15 will give us near white when there's no occlusion. You can also use a light path node and mix emission node to give us a truly shadeless material. I spent quite a bit of time looking into this, but this is what I found out works well to give me a truly shadeless material in Blender. Let me know in the comments if you have a better way to do this. Before moving on, we can control the AO, so do a quick viewport render, and you can see how we can adjust the settings of our AO distance to cover the spread, and modify the color ramp to control the strength of the fall off. For the wireframe material, we also want to apply it to a shadeless material, so create a new material, copy the emission, light path, and mix shader nodes into the new material, and connect the mix shader to the material output. Again, the light path will make sure no rays, bounce lighting, or shadows are calculated during the render, giving us a completely shadeless material for our renders. To get wireframe, we'll use the freestyle effect, so enable it under the render properties. Then go to View Layer tab and add a new line set. Disable all the settings except Edge Mark. Select your model, go into Edit mode with tab, go into Edge mode, press A to select all edges, right mouse click and set all edges to Mark Freestyle Edge. Set the shadeless wire material as an override material. It should look pure white until the render is done. Since this is a post-process effect, it'll happen last, so give it some extra time. You can also add a new line set, enable silhouette, and increase the thickness to double for a nice silhouette effect. Part 4, set up view and render layers. First, we need to make sure each object type is in its respective collection. Select the objects, press M in the viewport to add them to a new collection, and name them accordingly. Since we want to move the AO and wire to their own respective layers, we have to remove them from this main layer. Remove the override material in the main view layer, and name the default view layer to beauty layer. Make sure to disable freestyle render in our beauty layer. Copy the new view layer, name it wire, and set the shadeless material as the override material. Enable freestyle rendering and add any line sets here that you had previously. Select the background collection in lights, and disable it from the wireframe layer by selecting the collection, right-clicking, and disable from view layer. For AO, make a new layer, set the AO material as the override material, and disable freestyle under the view layer. For textured models like the gun and PS4 controller in this tutorial, you can create a fourth clay layer so you don't override the texture work. Finally, to remove the HDR from our renders, go to Render Properties, scroll down to Film, and enable Transparent. With all the view layers set up, simply press F12 and it'll render all our renders as separate passes. Part 5, the Composite. Time to put this all together, so save all your renders out as PNGs, and bring them into your photo editing software. I'll be using Photoshop for this demo. As we layer the AO and wire over our beauty layer, set the blending mode to multiply. Now you can see by using the emissive and shadeless material of white, they multiply perfectly over our colored render. This gives you complete control during the compositing phase. Now you can control the strength of the AO in post. You can also create nice masks for the wireframes, all using the renders you already created. This works great for animations and turntables too. This is what I use all the time when making nice clean renders for my models, whether it's for my portfolio or YouTube thumbnails. Once again, thanks to my Discord members Bryce and Bruno. Bryce made this awesome game-ready Mass Effect Predator gun, and Bruno made this beautiful Sub-D PS4 controller. be sure to check out their portfolios in the description because these guys know how to make beautiful professional renders. If you found this helpful, be sure to check out my Patreon. You'll get access to my private Discord community with a bunch of fantastic artists, access to most source files for my tutorials, more in-depth real-time workflow videos, private tutorials, and access to ask me whatever questions that you have. Let me know what you think and if you have any questions. If you want me to cover this in further detail, let me know down below. So with that, I'll see you around.